Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading Leviticus chapter 26. Ye shall make you no idols, nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it, for I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If ye walk in my statutes, and keep my commandments, and do them, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. And your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time, and ye shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land safely. And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will rid evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. And ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. And ye shall eat old store, and bring forth the old because of the new. And I set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and ye shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that ye should not be their bondmen, and I have broken the bands of your yoke, and make you go upright. But if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over your terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you. And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven as iron, and your earth as brass, and your strength shall be spent in vain, for your land shall not yield her increase, neither shall the trees of the land yield their fruits. And if you walk contrary unto me, and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you, according to your sins. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. And if ye will not be reformed by me by these things, but will walk contrary unto me, then I will also walk contrary unto you, and will punish you yet 7 times for your sins. And I will bring a sword upon you that shall avenge the quarrel of my covenant. And when ye are gathered together within your cities, I will send the pestilence among you, and ye shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and ye shall eat it, and not be satisfied. And if ye will not for all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins. And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. And I will destroy your high places, and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you. And I will make your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries into desolation, and I will not smell the savor of your sweet odors. And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Then shall the land enjoy her Sabbaths, as long as it lieth desolate, and ye be in your enemy's land. Even then shall the land rest and enjoy her Sabbaths. As long as it lieth desolate, it shall rest, because it did not rest in your Sabbaths when ye thought upon it. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from the sword, and they shall fall when none pursueth. And if they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword when none pursueth, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies. And ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. And they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they shall confess their iniquity, and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass, which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of the enemies, into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their inquiry, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths while she lieth desolate without them. And they shall accept the punishment of their inquiry, even because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. Summarizing Leviticus chapter 26, God is continuing his commands from Leviticus 25. He starts out saying, do not make idols, graven images, standing images, or images of stone to bow to. So this is idols. Don't create anything on earth to bow to. Keep my Sabbath, respect my sanctuary. If you keep my laws, I will take care of your land. I'll keep you safe. I'll keep peace in the land. You will experience no attack. You'll be successful over your enemies, and I will have respect for you. So the note that I took here is that safety and well-being are conditional, not restrictive. So behavior affects results. Good health is a result of diet and exercise more often than not. And so that's the note that I have there. Verse 15, not keeping the commands that God has will break the covenant, and there will be a punishment. So the last chapter, Leviticus 25, was about giving the land a rest. And if you remember, we read about, let me see. I wrote it down somewhere because I remember. I went back and looked it up. Okay, Leviticus chapter 16, verses 25 through 28. So in Leviticus chapter 16, God was talking about the land, and this was talking about sexual sins. The sexual sins were so rampant, and they ended up, the people that were living on the land that, are currently there, the Israelites haven't gone into it yet. God is giving them these guidelines and like a pep talk before it's time for them to go into the land. So the people who are living on the land now are committing all these sexual sins, and it's making the land sick. So in Leviticus chapter 16, verse 25 through 28, God says that the land vomit and spews the people out of the land because of how much they've defiled it. So after that, God tells them that, the first 5 years when you go into the land, you can't even eat of the land there. You're going to have to let it grow for 5 years before you can even eat, because it's so damaged from what's been done on the land. So now in Leviticus 25, God is saying there needs to be a Sabbath for the land. This land is so it's had so much happen on it. Once every 7 years, you need to take 1 year to not let anything grow on it so it can have a chance to rest. And so here in Leviticus 26, he's saying, well, we're going to see later on in the chapter that the land needs to rest and that there's going to be a punishment, a severe punishment, if God delivers this land to you and then you don't take care of it and you don't give it the rest that I commanded you to give it. And it says that, the land will be able to enjoy her Sabbaths. God has even given the land a feminine pronoun, her Sabbaths. So I thought that was really interesting that God is commanding the Israelites to let the land rest, to take care of the land. And we were going to see in verse 16, he said, if you spurn my statutes, you break my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will visit you with panic or terror. I will appoint a consumption. And so I thought that was really, really interesting. In the King James Version, consumption is a punishment that God is going to, he said God will do this to the Israelites if they don't take care of the land that he gave them. He's going to punish them with consumption. And come on, man. Okay, so use of something, and then we have here a progressive wasting away of the body. But we do know that there's not one definition. The word encompasses all the definitions listed underneath. So the act or process of consuming, consumption of resources, food, use of something, exposure, tuberculosis, or just a progressive wasting away of the body. So God says, if you don't take care of this land that I'm going to give you, you're going to be, this is going to be part of what happens to you. Consumption, terror, the burning ague. An ague is fever. Fever, fit of shivering, And the burning ague that shall consume the eyes, cause sorrow of heart, and ye shall sow your seed in vain, that your enemies will eat. So you're not going to have peace. You're going to get sick. You're going to have sorrow of the heart. And your enemies are going to eat your crops. So you're going to be hungry too. And then verse 17, God will set his face against them. They'll be struck down by their enemies. Those who you hate shall rule over you, and you shall flee when no one pursues you. Fear. Again, fear was a punishment. Verse 18. It says in verse 18, I will punish you 7 times. If this does not cause you to change, and I will break the power of your pride. I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. Your crops are going to fail. And then if you still don't listen, I will bring 7 times more plagues. So now, 14 times worse than verse 16. And verse 16 is the burning ague and the consumption. So 14 times worse than that. We are on verse 21. And God is going to tell us what he will do. So now, 14 times worse, he will let loose wild beasts upon them to rob you of your children, to destroy your cattle, and to make you few in number. And then we get to if this does not make you walk towards me, then I will walk in contrary of you. And then we have verse 24, I will strike you sevenfold for your sins. So now we're talking about 21 times worse than verse 16, because verse 18, 7 times more, verse 21, 7 times more, and now verse 24, even 7 times more. So now we're going to be punished 21 times more punishment. And we're going to see what will happen. So first you're going to be conquered by sword, which will avenge my covenant. I will send pestilence among your gatherings. Verse 26, I will break your supply of bread. You will eat and still be unsatisfied. Verse 27, if you still continue to not listen to me, I will walk contrary against you. I will chastise you 7 more times. So now in verse 28, 28 times worse than verse 16. And we're going to see what will be sevenfold worse. You will eat the flesh of your sons and daughters. So you will turn into cannibals. All right. And I wrote a note here that consumption in verse 16, that was a punishment for disobeying God. So now we're on verse 29, and the punishment here, 28 times later, is cannibalism, of eating your own children. So I put a note here that was, I would say that's 28 times worse. So, okay. Verse 3, I'll cut down your high places. So I'll cut down your pagan shrines, your high places. I'll cut down your images. And I will cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols. My soul shall abhor you. 31. I will make your cities waste. I'll bring your sanctuaries into desolation. I will not acknowledge your offerings if you try to make them at this point. Verse 32. I'll bring the land into desolation. Your enemies that dwell therein shall be astonished by it. I'll scatter you among the heathens, and your cities and land will be destroyed. The land will enjoy her Sabbaths, and the land will be able to rest. 35. If the land is desolate and it can rest, the majority of the Israelites will be removed from the land. The ones left will be so fearful that they will flee. They'll have no power against their enemies. You will perish among the heathen. The land of your enemies will eat you up. So again, this again reminded me of Leviticus chapter 16, verse 25 to 28, where the land, God said that he will, actually, you know what? Let's look it up. Leviticus 16, 25. Maybe this is 15. Oh my goodness, I said the wrong thing. Let me look in the big Bible. I thought for sure this was verse 16. 18. Okay, chapter 18. And see, this is what I mean. This is why you can't listen to like one person. Even though I know that it was 16, or I know it was 18, I wrote 16. And then I already repeated it earlier. So the part of the land that 26. Okay. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because we're now in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 38. And we are looking at the land of your enemies shall eat you up. So again, when we look here in Leviticus 18:25, the land has the ability to enact punishment. And even though God he says he visits the iniquity thereof upon it, I am punishing the people who live there, I'll cause the land, but the land itself, like, has the ability to expel, to punish. And I just thought that was so interesting that God gives the land, because God could just himself just zap them, off the land. And we come here to Leviticus chapter 26, verse 38, and the land will eat you up for your disobedience. Verse 39, those who are left will rot away in the land of the enemies. But if you confess your sins, their father's sins, and acknowledge that they've turned against God and that God turned against them, bringing them to the land of their enemies, if they are humbled and finally accept their punishment, I'll remember the covenant with Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham, and I will remember the land. And again, I just see where God is mentioning the land and how important it is for the land to be treated correctly. Especially if he gets other people off the land so you can live there. The land shall be abandoned by them and enjoyed Sabbaths. So what he's saying here is like, she's going to enjoy being able to rest. And we see this again in verse 34. So we see this once in verse 34 and verse 35. As long as it lies desolate, it shall have rest. So it's really important to God that these people allow the land to rest and have her Sabbaths. She needs it. She needs the rest. And then it ends saying, even if they're in the land of their enemies, I won't just cast them away. I won't utterly destroy them because of my covenant with their ancestors. These are the laws, statutes, and judgments given by God to the Israelites. So that is Leviticus chapter 26. I appreciate how Leviticus 25 was discussing like a special ritual to give the land rest. And then there's such a severe punishment for not taking care of the lands. And then, like, I'm relating it to present day, and I'm just like, okay, well, our country doesn't take care of our land like this. Now, I understand there's a special covenant. Caanan was a special, arrangement. But the fact that the land can get sick, the fact that, the land needs to clear itself every once in a while. I just think about, like, how this country is, how most countries are ran, and we don't do that. We don't believe that that's even something we need to be caring about. So it's just something that I thought about. Okay, well, I think that's all I have for Leviticus chapter 26. The next upload will be Leviticus chapter 27. Thank you for watching up until this point, and I appreciate your views. I appreciate views, comments, subscriptions. I'm just very, very thankful that I am reaching anyone because this is so interesting to me, and I hope that it will become interesting to you too. Have a good day.